All right, so get this. You send in a whole bunch of stuff about this artist, Francesco Scapicchi. And let me tell you, this guy's story is wild. He's taking like famous paintings, like the Mona Lisa, and using AI to make them talk. But it's more than just a cool gimmick. This deep dive is going to take us into how art and tech are like colliding, what it takes to succeed in this new world, and why sometimes being reliable is more valuable than being a technical genius.
It's fascinating, isn't it? We often think of like art and technology as these separate realms, but Scapicci's work shows us how they can come together in unexpected and thought-provoking ways.
Exactly. So is this Francesco Scapicchi? He's got this crazy diverse background, music production, DJing, even journalism. He learned digital filming and editing at the Rice School of Journalism. Talk about a multi-hyphenate.
That multifaceted background really seems to be his secret weapon. In one of the articles, he talks about how his early days DJing taught him to like read a crowd, adapt to the energy of the room, and keep things flowing. It's like he's taken those skills from the DJ booth and applied them to the world of art and video.
I love that connection. Okay, so he's got this adaptable skill set. And then he comes up with this talking paintings project. I mean, who thinks to do that? It's brilliant. But what really blew me away was that he actually went viral with these on TikTok.
Mhm.
The Mona Lisa on TikTok.
That's what's so interesting, isn't it? He didn't just create a cool concept, he understood how to package it for a modern audience. Short, snappy videos that entertain and educate. That's the TikTok sweet spot. And he nailed it.
He totally did. But there's another layer to his success that I found really surprising. It's not all about fancy tech or flashy visuals. In fact, Scapicci emphasizes the importance of being reliable, punctual, and easy to work with. I mean, that's not exactly the first thing you think of when you think of a cutting-edge artist.
And yet it makes perfect sense. One of the articles you shared included this anecdote about a wedding Scapicci filmed, where there was a last-minute venue change due to a storm. Total chaos, right? But instead of panicking, he reassured the couple, adapted his plans, and ended up delivering a stunning video that captured the magic of the day, despite the hiccups.
That's a perfect example. It shows that reliability isn't just about showing up on time. It's about being a problem solver, a calming presence, and ultimately earning the trust of your clients. No amount of technical wizardry can replace that.
It's so true. And that leads us to another interesting point, the power of humor. You wouldn't necessarily expect humor to be a key ingredient in corporate video production, but Scapicci swears by it.
I know, right? He talks about how he tries to inject spontaneity and a bit of fun into even the most serious projects. It's like he's breaking down the barriers of that stiff corporate feel.
And I think it speaks to a larger shift we're seeing in how brands are communicating. People are craving authenticity, realness, connection. Humor is a great way to cut through the noise and create those human moments.
Totally. Okay, so we got this multi-talented artist who values reliability. And Dano isn't afraid to make people laugh. But where it gets really interesting is when he starts pushing the boundaries of what's technically possible. There's this project where he created a music video and actually animated still photographs to tell a story.
Ah, yes. And this is where his mastery of both digital filming and AI comes together. He even mentions in one of the interviews that just a few years ago, achieving this level of realism from still photos would have been unthinkable. But now, thanks to advances in AI, it's becoming a reality.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it? It's like he's breathing life into these static images, blurring the lines between photography and animation.
Right. And it makes you wonder, where does reality end and digital creation begin? It's a question we're going to be grappling with more and more as AI becomes even more sophisticated.
For sure. But here's the thing. Even with all this emphasis on visuals and cutting-edge tech, Scapicci doesn't overlook the importance of audio. He's a huge advocate for high-quality sound, especially for corporate videos.
It's so important. Think about how a film score can evoke emotions, or how a well-placed sound effect can completely change the mood of a scene. Scapicci understands that sound is an integral part of the storytelling experience.
It's like he's saying, don't neglect any of the senses. Okay, so we've got visually stunning videos, crystal clear audio, but it gets even more interesting when we look at how he approaches different types of projects. He talked about the stark contrast between filming weddings and corporate videos.
Right. Weddings are all about capturing those spontaneous moments, the raw emotion, the unpredictable energy of the day. It requires a completely different mindset than a meticulously planned corporate shoot.
Totally. And that adaptability is key in today's creative landscape. You have to be able to shift gears, think on your feet, and cater to different client needs and expectations.
Which is where soft skills come into play. It's not enough to be a technical whiz. You have to be a good communicator, a collaborator, and someone who can build trust with clients. And it turns out Scapicchi has some very specific advice for aspiring video makers on this front.
Yes, he actually said it's better to be collaborative and available than to be a technical phenomenon. Essentially, being a great person to work with can be more valuable than just having raw talent.
And that's a powerful message, especially in a world that often glorifies technical prowess above all else. It's a reminder that human connection, empathy, and the ability to work effectively with others are essential skills, no matter your field.
So true. And speaking of collaboration, that leads us to Scapicchi's leap into the world of NFTs. Remember those Hoken paintings that went viral on TikTok? Well, they actually evolved into a whole new project.
This is where his partnership with Hoken Tech comes in. They specialize in taking artwork and bringing it onto the blockchain.
Okay, so instead of giving a basic NFT definition, let's get into the nitty-gritty. One of the articles mentioned that Scapicchi initially struggled with choosing the right platform to mint his NFTs. He was concerned about high fees on some platforms and a lack of community engagement on others.
That's a crucial consideration for any artist entering the NFT space. It's not just about minting a digital asset. It's about finding a community that aligns with your values and goals.
And this is where the partnership with Hoken Tech was so smart. Scapicchi could focus on what he does best, the artistic vision, the storytelling, while they handled the technical complexities of blockchain and NFTs.
It's a perfect example of to each their own job. Recognizing your strengths and limitations and finding the right collaborators is essential, especially in a field as rapidly evolving as this one.
Exactly. So we followed Scapicchi from his early days as a DJ, to mastering video production and AI, to navigating the world of NFTs. And it seems like with every step, he's found a way to blend his artistic vision with cutting-edge technology.
And along the way, he's learned some valuable lessons about the importance of reliability, human connection, and the power of collaboration. But this is just the beginning of the journey. We still need to explore how his music background influences his visual work and how he sees the future of art and technology unfolding.
And that's exactly what we'll be diving into next.
Welcome back. Before we get into the future, I think it's worth digging a little deeper into Scapicchi's past, specifically his music. You actually included some of his tracks with the articles, and they're surprisingly experimental.
Right. I was expecting something more traditional, maybe some like Italian folk influences. But it's electronic, almost ambient in places. I found myself really drawn to how he uses sound design and rhythm.
It's incredibly layered, and there's this sense of movement, almost like a visual narrative, unfolding through sound, and listening to it while looking at his videos. It's clear that this sensibility carries over into his visual work.
Yeah.
The pacing, the way he edits, it all has this musicality to it.
It's like those silent films, where the music is so crucial to setting the mood and driving the story forward. It's fascinating to see how those seemingly disparate parts of his background are actually interconnected.
Exactly. It all feeds into this idea that he's not just a video artist, he's a storyteller who uses multiple mediums to bring his ideas to life. And speaking of storytelling, let's talk about his foray into NFTs. We left off talking about his collaboration with Hoken Tech, but one article highlighted a specific challenge he faced, the environmental impact of NFTs.
Yeah, that was a big discussion point in a few of the sources. There's a lot of debate about the energy consumption associated with blockchain technology.
Yeah.
It seems like Scapicchi was really wrestling with this, trying to balance his excitement about NFTs with his concerns about sustainability.
He was, and it's a dilemma many artists working with NFTs are facing. But what's interesting is that instead of shying away from the issue, he actively sought out solutions. He ended up choosing a platform that uses a more energy-efficient proof-of-stake model, significantly reducing the environmental impact.
It's impressive that he didn't just blindly jump into the NFT craze. He really took the time to research, to understand the implications, and to make a conscious choice that aligned with his values. It's a great lesson for all of us, really. Don't just follow the hype. Be informed and consider the bigger picture.
Absolutely. And this commitment to thoughtful action seems to extend to his view on AI as well. In one interview, he said something that really struck me. Technology, no matter how advanced, can't create something from nothing. It still needs that human spark.
He's not letting the tech take over. It's more like he's using it to amplify his own creative vision. It's like he's saying, I'm the conductor and AI is the orchestra.
Exactly. And he even talks about how he had to experiment quite a bit with the AI tools to get the results he wanted for his talking paintings. It wasn't just a matter of plugging in some text and having a masterpiece pop out. He had to learn the nuances of the software, train the AI and refine the output.
That's really interesting, because in one of the sources, there was this other artist who felt threatened by AI, like it was going to devalue human skill and make artists obsolete. But Scapicchi's approach is completely different. He's embracing that technology as a tool to enhance his own abilities.
It's like he's saying AI can't replicate the human spark, the intuition, the emotional depth that artists bring to their work. And that brings us to this question of access. That came up in one of the sources. Scapicchi mentioned this platform called Runway, which is known for its amazing text-to-video and text-to-image capabilities.
Oh, yeah, Runway. I actually played around with it a little. It's amazing what it can do. But the subscription fees are pretty steep.
Right, and that's the issue. These powerful AI tools are becoming more readily available, but the cost can be a barrier for many artists, especially those just starting out.
It's like a new kind of digital divide is emerging. Those who can afford the tools have a significant advantage, while others might be left behind. It makes you wonder if there will be a point where access to these technologies will be essential for artists to compete.
It's a valid concern, and it highlights the need for more affordable solutions and educational resources to ensure that these tools are accessible to a wider range of artists.
It also makes you appreciate Scapicchi's resourcefulness even more. He built his studio, Dirty Drop Studio, from the ground up. And the name itself is actually pretty cool.
I know, right? Apparently it started as Dirty Drop Records, which was his music label back in the day. When he transitioned into video production, he just evolved it into Dirty Drop Studio.
That's awesome. It shows how he's carried his experiences and passions with him. As he's evolved as an artist, it's like his studio is this living, breathing representation of his creative journey. And speaking of his studio, one of the sources talked about how important it was for him to have a strong foundation when venturing into uncharted territory like NFTs.
He specifically emphasized finding reliable partners
Huh.
who understood the technical complexities and could navigate the legal and logistical hurdles. He even mentioned that he initially tried to handle everything himself, but quickly realized that it was too much.
He said something like, "I'm an artist, not a lawyer or a blockchain expert." It's that self-awareness again, recognizing his limitations and seeking out the right people to support his vision. It reinforces that idea that collaboration is key, especially when you're pushing boundaries and trying new things.
Exactly. He's not afraid to ask for help or to rely on the expertise of others. And in a way, that vulnerability makes his success even more impressive. It shows that you don't have to be a lone genius to achieve great things.
So we've talked about his background, his process, his views on technology. But what does all this mean for our listener? Why should they care about Francesco Scapicchi and his journey?
I think his story offers a really inspiring and practical roadmap. For anyone navigating the world of creativity and technology, it's about being adaptable, embracing new tools, and understanding that success isn't just about talent. It's about building a strong foundation, collaborating with others, and staying true to your vision.
And it's about not being afraid to experiment, to push the boundaries, and to find new ways to express yourself. But there's one more piece of the puzzle we haven't fully explored yet: the ethical implications of AI in art and what it all means for the future of creativity.
That's a big one. And it's something we'll be diving into next.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground, from talking paintings on TikTok to the power of reliability and Scapicchi's unique approach to AI. But as promised, let's dive into the ethical side of all this, especially as AI tools become more and more powerful.
This is where things get really interesting and potentially a bit tricky. Think about it. If an AI can create an image or a song that's like indistinguishable from something a human made, who gets the credit? Where's the line between human creativity and machine output blur?
Exactly. It challenges our whole notion of what it means to be an artist, a creator. One of the articles you sent actually brought up this legal case where an artist tried to copyright a work created by an AI. It sparked this huge debate about who owns the rights.
It's a fascinating case study, and it shows that our legal frameworks are struggling to keep pace with these technological advancements. And then there's the whole issue of potential misuse, something that Scapicchi himself touches upon in one of the interviews.
He brought up the issue of deepfakes, which is scary stuff. The idea that AI can be used to create incredibly realistic but completely fabricated videos. It's unsettling, to say the least.
It is, and it highlights the need for ethical guidelines and regulations. As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, we need to think about accountability, transparency, and how to prevent these technologies from being used in harmful ways.
You know, it's funny, there was this one comment in an online forum discussing Scapicchi's work that said, "This AI art is just a fad, it'll never replace real art." but I think that misses the point.
I agree. It's not about replacement. It's about evolution. Just like photography didn't replace painting, AI isn't going to replace human artists. Instead, it's going to offer new tools, new possibilities, new ways of expressing ourselves.
Exactly. It's a tool, just like a paintbrush or a camera. It's up to the artist to decide how to use it, to infuse it with their own vision and message.
And I think that's what Scapicchi exemplifies. He's not afraid to experiment to push the boundaries. But he's doing it with intention, with a clear understanding of both the possibilities and the pitfalls.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with this feeling of cautious optimism. The future of art is exciting, it's evolving, and it's going to challenge us in ways we can't even imagine yet.
But as Scapicci's journey shows us, it's not about fearing the technology, it's about embracing the possibilities, while remaining grounded in our own humanity.
Beautifully said. And that, my friends, the art of the deep dive. We hope you enjoyed this exploration of Francesco Scapicchi's world, and that you'll continue to explore, to question, and to create. Until next time,